Alright, hey guys, thank you for watching, tuning in my channel. My name's Alan. I'm here with my man Tristan. He is a part of the Florida Game and Fish Commission, and we're just going to go over a few safety rules and regulations for boating. Can never be safety enough for, especially you got little ones with you. I've been on the water a long time in my life. I've been real lucky not to be hurt because I've done some really ignorant stuff before my time. So just give you a little boat safety short video. Hope you enjoy it. I'm fixing to turn everything over to Tristan. We're going to talk about some of the things you need to have on your boat today. So go ahead, Tristan.
How are y'all doing today? I'm Tristan with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. We're just going to go over shortly here what all you need to have on your vessel. There's a couple different things that are required. We're going to start with a sound producing device. You're fine with just a regular whistle, or you can invest in a horn. These do have an expiration, or they will go bad, get rusty or something like that, so it's always good to have a backup whistle. That's one of your required things. A fire extinguisher. You have several different types of fire extinguishers. They are required on a vessel that has an enclosed gas tank or compartments that can enclose gaseous fumes. What we will check if we do a vessel safety inspection on you when you're on the water is to see if your fire extinguisher is good. Like I said, there's several different ways that you can tell if one's good. Some will have these gauges on them that'll say empty or full. Sometimes they'll say good. Also, they'll have an expiration on the bottom, so just be cognizant of that before you go out on the water, just to make sure all your safety gear is good. Next thing, and one of the most important things, is of course your life jackets. There's 4 different types of life jackets: type 1, type 2, type 3, and type 4. Your type 1 is going to be mainly for your commercial use. You won't see a lot of those on recreational vessels. They'll have reflective tape. They'll look a lot like a type 2 here, which is this. It's just your regular orange collar life vest. These work as long as all your life vests have to be Coast Guard approved. It'll say inside the vest what type they are and if they are Coast Guard approved. This one is an adult size, so if you have any children on the boat, that's another thing we'll talk about. Any child under the age of 6 years old needs to always have a life jacket on when the boat's underway. So you need to make sure of that. This right here is a child vest. This is actually a type 3 vest. Mostly used for water skiing or when you're on a PWC, a jet ski. So these are always good to have if you're going to be tubing or on a jet ski. So they look a little bit different than your type 2s.
So in other words, we're saying that these actually right here are over and above what these are.
Yes,
So these will be, so you basically if you buy these, you'll have everything you really need.
Yeah, if you have these type 3s, they're actually more protected. They have more straps, as you can see right here, that actually wrap around your body a little bit better. This will actually just go around your neck, just like that, and it has a strap that just comes around your waist. You can see these have 3 point of contact right there. So they'll actually, and that's why they go a lot better than, of course, wearing these if you're on a jet ski or you're water skiing or tubing or anything like that, because they won't come off near as easy.
Now, if you come up on some and they have one of these that's not hooked up, or if it's broke, would 2 be sufficient legally?
2 would be fine. You need to get that replaced though. You'll see some people wearing some of them sometimes. They just have them wrapped around. You need to always have them things clipped. 2 would suffice, and actually they sell them with just 2 straps, but it's always good if you have a 3 strap, just to go ahead and get another one in place or throw it away and get you another one. So,
I got you.
But yeah, those are actually above and beyond these type 2s, but these will actually suffice. You see a lot of people just carrying these in their vessel, and they might have also the inflatable ones. That's another point we'll talk about here too, because I know a lot of people know this. Your inflatable life vest, a lot of people wear them nowadays, and actually for your paddleboard and stuff, they actually have them where they blow up around your waist. But you have to be wearing those life vests, those inflatable ones, for them to count for your adequate amount of life jacket. So a lot of people will still have these on board, but they'll be wearing the inflatable ones. So just make sure if you're counting those as your life jackets on board, that whoever is counting that life jacket needs to be wearing it. So that's a good point to remember.
Okay, now on these are the throwables.
Yes, this is going to be your type 4. Any vessel over 16 feet is required a type 4 throwable. This is been called a square seat cushion, but this works. Also, you'll see your just your old school life rings. Those work as well. These are just for throwing out in the water if somebody goes overboard, and to help them reel back in. You have a rope sometimes tied to these, or just to throw it out there and let them hang on to it till you can get back over there with them with a vessel. So
does it have to have a rope tied to it to
no,
be legal?
No, it don't. This just like this is perfectly legal, but over 16 feet you need to have this on board. So
Okay.
yeah. And then the next thing we'll talk about, these are all, this is your normal required stuff, is your fire extinguisher, your sound producing device, and your life jackets. Next thing we're going to talk about here is flares. Once you get out in the ocean, anytime you get more than 2 miles away from land, you're going to need these flares. What is required is 3 daytime, 3 nighttime, but most of the time you'll see these are a combination actually. These fall into the category as 3 day and 3 night. As you can see, and make sure they're Coast Guard approved, which you buy them at West Marine or Walmart or any of your marine retail stores, they're going to be your Coast Guard approved, but just double check on that. These also have an expiration date on them as well, just like the fire extinguishers, so you need to check that before you go out. Should be on the back side. You usually roll them over and see right here, it'll say a manufacture date and an expiration date, so just make sure you look at that expiration date before you go out, so just to make sure your flares are good.
Yeah, I think the flares go out every
3 years.
Every 3 years.
Yeah, usually is when they go out.
A lot of folks overlook them, and you will get a ticket for it. So make sure those are all up to date.
Yeah, make sure your flares are good. So. Another thing Mr. Allen's got included here is always good to having your boating safety gear as a first aid kit, because you never know what you might get into in the water. If you're in Florida Fish and Wildlife or the Coast Guard, we respond to a lot of your boating accidents and your distress calls, but you never know how soon we're going to get there. Your first aid kit is always good to have. Somebody gets cut or stuck by a fish or laid open by when you're cutting up bait, who knows. It's always good to have a first aid kit. We always carry one along with the Coast Guard, have plenty of first aid medical supplies on our vessels, but like I said, you never know how long it'll take before we can get there. So it's always good to have. This is not required, but I definitely recommend it to anybody that's going out boating on the water, just to have a simple first aid kit, just something to patch you up till, you can get you in, or who knows. So that's a pertinent thing to have too. Like I said, it's not required, but it's a good idea. So another thing we don't have here is that it is required if you're boating on the water, aside from fishing or anything else, you need to have your registration up to date and your actual paper certificate on board. So that's something we ask for when we come up, just so we can make sure your boat is registered, whether it's out of Florida, Georgia, Alabama, who knows, but you need to have that paper certificate on board. A lot of states will have cards, just something that we can see that your boat is registered, whether it's any other state, just so we can see it is. So, but that's all your required boating safety gear right there. Like I said, with the fire extinguishers, if you have your gas tank is enclosed, you need to have these, or you have any compartments that'll enclose gaseous fumes, just in case you get a fire, be able to put that out. And then your flares. If you're going out, say offshore or anything, you definitely need flares. These handheld ones are good, but if you are deep sea fishing or anything like that, I recommend a flare gun. These do suffice, but that flare gun will get that flare up a lot higher. And these do not shoot, they just sit there and burn like a Roman candle.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want to do, is get out there and get in a jam and somebody can't find you. So, this stuff might cost a little extra money, but it's worth it. You can't never be safety enough out there. Even if it's you, you might pull up on somebody and they'll be in distress. Especially we go out there in the salt water a lot of times, and there's so many people out there and there's so many fools out there. So you never know what's going to happen. And even if you're not in the one in distress, you can help somebody else if you keep all these things on there and be ready. Like this fire extinguishers, it's probably out of date, but I'm gonna keep it in there because I want to make sure if I come up on somebody else, my boat not necessarily need it, but somebody else might. We might need a lot of stuff to put a fire out. So you just never know what you're gonna run to out there in the water, and stuff happens so quick and so easy. You wouldn't believe. If anybody's been out there on the water enough, you can take it from experience what it's all about. So please be careful.